this, but as you
Okay.
know, I'm good about taking data, finding it, and breaking it down into something that's really easy to understand. So let's go at this. And of course, we got Craig coming up at 11 o'clock. We're going to pick his brain about this too. But Mark and Geneseo was wondering, how much earlier than average are trees beginning to leaf out this year? Because I was on a walk too the other day and I noticed, yeah, the leaves are already coming out of the trees and it's only mid-March. This is something that typically happens in the second half of April. So we're way ahead of schedule. In fact, the National Phenology Network, who tracks all of this via satellite and ground observations, they're able to show us on the map here how early or how late the first leafing of the trees is. And right now, it is extremely early in the Quad Cities and extremely late in the South. This is all very typical for El Nino, especially down here where it was cooler all winter long. That's why they're late in Florida and South Texas. But let's get right into the Quad Cities because this is at the top of the scale. We are 20 plus days early. At this point, I think it's safe to say we're almost a month ahead of schedule because that's how warm January, February, and now March has been. And in fact, these records don't go back a whole long ways because you're talking about satellite technology and other things like that. At least a couple of decades worth of data is what we have. But as of right now, this is the earliest ever since we've been tracking this with this kind of data that the leaves have come out on the trees. Now, probably not in history. Again, the data doesn't go back too far, but this is quite impressive. So they're right, you're onto something. It's really early, and we'll pick Craig's brain about it coming up on the 11 o'clock newscast later this morning. You can read more about it at WQAD.com.